So this is going to be massively different from the stuff I normally make, but I've got a lot of levels here that I haven't previously uploaded or given very good thoughts on, so I figured I'd redo all of it in one video. So yes, this will be a review of almost every unrated demon I've beaten, with some exceptions I'll get to later. Some of these are levels I've beaten years ago at this point, and some I beat a few weeks ago. I just figured, fuck it, why not cover them all? I haven't uploaded these yet, so... It's pretty much going to be like Technical's Extreme Demon ranking videos, except I don't have a spreadsheet, and I'm also not ranking them. This will just be in the order that I beat them. It's also worth noting, I'll show full completions for some levels, but it will really only be the ones that I don't have videos yet for on this channel, because obviously I've uploaded a lot of them before. Otherwise this video will be way too long and just not be very interesting. So, let's start with the first two levels, both Cycron levels that were ported over to main GD, Captain Cool and Olympus Mons. I'll do these both at the same time since they're both 1.0 levels. So Captain Cool's the first one I beat, so obviously I'll do this one first. I beat this back in 2022 actually. It was only ported to main GD like a week ago. Most people who knew me around like 2022 knew that I had a fucking deep hatred for this level, and it probably didn't help that due to data issues I had to repeat this about 5 times. Regardless, I hold nowhere near as much malice as I used to towards it. There isn't really much to say about this level since it's 58 seconds, only about 4 unique sections, and again, it's 1.0. Most of my initial hatred came from the purple part at the beginning, because I found it massively inconsistent and a lot harder than the rest of the level back then. The ball section is pretty easy outside of like one ship gap, which isn't even too bad, it's just slightly awkward. The blue part is mostly fine, but there are a few clicks that I found kind of awkward before, and in my rebeat I found an actual issue where a pad would just launch you into a spike in an auto section that wasn't really intended. Presumably a 2.2 problem. And now finally, the challenge. One of the easiest parts of the level, funny enough, though it definitely isn't my favourite. Many of the deaths I get in this part are due to poor positioning, which honestly never really feels like my fault at all. It sadly isn't all that good of a level at the end of the day, but I can't ever forget it due to my experiences and with how Hidden feels about it. So I'm honestly kind of responsible for the existence of Olympus Mons. Since back in 2022, again, I hated Captain Cool so much, I made my own pure 1.0 Cycron level, with the sole purpose of making it better than Captain Cool. And then Nagramex also decided to one-up me on that as well, and he made Olympus Mons. If it isn't already obvious, this level's by far the most elaborate and developed of the 3, and is also 2 minutes long, and yes, he decided to port this over to GD. I haven't actually ported my level over, and I don't really want to. I've also beaten this a handful of times, some due to data issues and some purely for the sake of it. As far as 1.0 goes, this level does it really well. It manages to keep things interesting part after part and has a surprising amount of variety without using that many objects. Only 18k. I really don't have many complaints about it beyond maybe the last ship being a slight more janky and awkward than the rest of the parts. Also, not really a complaint, I just thought I'd add that the level got an update recently which changed some gameplay in the gravity field section in the 50s, which made one part of it a bit worse in my rebeat. Beyond that, it's a very solid level. If you're interested in older style stuff, this is definitely something worth looking at in my opinion. Now we're getting to the levels that I have recorded and have videos on, so I'm not going to show showcases for the majority of these. And also, I'm not done with the old style levels. I actually have two more, both by the same creator. First off, False Memory by Subperfect. Subperfect is someone I've known for a couple years. He's a mobile creator and he's made a fair share of these style of levels, most notably Snubby, which is both rated and a level I actually did as the hardest. False Memory was actually his first ever level to get a mod send though. It's also currently the hardest level he's released, being about a middle insane demon. I unfortunately didn't have the greatest of times on this level due to some bad luck. Probably didn't help, I also just find the last ship to be one of, if not the hardest part of the level. Still a very good level in my opinion, since the base gameplay flows really well and Subperfect does know how to make some fire decoration regardless of limitations. Conveniently, Submachine ends up being the next Unrated Demon completion of mine, the other level by this guy, this one also being set entirely in 1.0. This will be the last one, I promise. This one is a lot more elaborate decoration-wise, portraying actual machinery with just 1.0 blocks. Once again, gameplay is quite limited and this level still manages to be fun beyond that. I also didn't get that unlucky on this, which seems to be a first for me with Subperfect stuff. My numerous ending deaths on Snubby and False Memory, and me having to drop Hate Everything multiple times. I actually ended up being the second victor of this with a worst fail of 78. And then shortly after I fluked Harubi from 12, but you know, we don't need to talk about that. Anyway, yeah, I'm not sure what else I can say that I haven't already. It probably doesn't help that I beat this in 2 hours, so I never formed that much of a strong opinion on it. Regardless, this level still deserves a rate if you ask me. Now it's time for something massively different. I was literally introduced to the Final Heir through a Twitter account, and my god, this level is insane. I mean, I don't think I need to explain what I mean by that, just look at the decoration, it's wild. The gameplay in this level is actually pretty decent, but unfortunately I didn't have a great time on it, mainly due to poor balancing and this abundance of wave choke points. The final third of this level ends up being not necessarily the hardest, but the most awkward by far, and it caused me so many deaths. Through my experience, I found my most common death spots to be the timings in the second half of the pre-drop, the wave gap at 50, the whole wave from 57 to 61, the spider gap at 63, and then the straight fly at 73. I'm actually surprised I never died past 79, since the last 5% of the gameplay is genuinely some of the most awkward in the entire level. Regardless, I'm still glad to be the first victor of both this and the other GD Fun level in this list, which will be shown in a minute. It's also worth noting that the two GD Fun levels in here are the only two unrated extreme demons I've beaten too, so that's cool as well. Oh wait, I fucking lied. This is actually the last old style level in here. I'll go over this one really briefly since I also beat it in like 5 seconds. All you need to know is that it's 1.3 this time. I beat this because Vlak is my single favorite creator in the game. The level's pretty good, but it's also one of the more simplistic levels in here where it doesn't really use any special sort of decoration. It doesn't really attempt that much. I also fluked it from 41, which actually makes it my biggest fluke out of all of these levels somehow. I'm also not really sure if this is even an insane demon. It might be a hard demon. That's pretty much all I can say. I promise that's actually all of the old style levels now. Biden Circles is probably the first not completely unknown level in this list. This level for me is mostly notable because my experience of trying to beat it was the stupidest thing ever. I started this in the summer of 2024. Learned it and got to the 80s pretty fast, but unfortunately this is fucking Biden Circles, so the very last wave is actually both the hardest part of the level by a landslide, and also the laggiest somehow. This combined with a lot of inconsistency in the first few waves led me to drop it until a year later. I then came back to it, relearned it pretty fast, and proceeded to never fucking die again at the last wave, and just beat it in like 2 hours upon returning. It's once again quite a hard level for me to judge because some of it was enjoyable, but I also can't look past the brick wall of an ending, and Doggy's first part being the only other super hard part of the entire level. It's alright, I guess, but it's also dumb and required dumb luck on my end to beat, so it's not something I'd ever recommend. Oh yeah, it's that other GD Fun level I mentioned, and this one's a pretty big improvement over the Final Heir in just about every aspect. Only issue is I wound up having a little bit worse of an experience on this, and it's still generally plagued with wave choke points, including a funny little wave at 96 which I ended up dying to 3 times. This whole thing of good level bad experience is something that seemed to plague me a lot around this time, especially with another level you'll see later on. In general though, this level was very satisfying to play through, and the decoration is a good bit improved from the Final Heir. Also, as a victor of 666 and having played The End by Xylox a lot, this level's song choice was also a large factor in me going for it, so that's a plus too. Alright, so this is the part where I review stuff that I actually haven't covered yet on this channel ever, so yeah, there's going to be some showcase videos again. Now, if you've ever seen this level, I'd be genuinely surprised. This is Volcano by Team Epsilon, mainly brought to my knowledge by Nagromex, who both built in it and verified it, though I don't entirely remember how it came up. Yeah, this level definitely shows its age through some interesting decoration choices and rather janky gameplay. Though I want to add, despite the jankiness and a straight up bug at 79 which forces your input to be a lot later than it should be, I genuinely really ended up enjoying this level. Like, I was not one time mad at this level, even despite the multiple death spots that are just straight up not much fault of the player. I'm still really not sure why I ended up being this, but well, here we are, I guess. Now then, this is a level I'm excited to show off. Again, not very well known, but still having some sends and some support behind it. Conscience by Renmine is genuinely one of the most addicting levels I've played in recent times. Having very well made decoration in a Vlak/Shoxidian-esque style that I really like, as you know, this level is something that I truly believe needs more attention. It doesn't have that many issues to me either, maybe besides 88 to 96 being surprisingly chokeable. I've also beaten this like 4 times, if that means anything. Now, some people who know me might be surprised to see this here, but yes, I actually did go out of my way to finish this. I picked up Rooftop Cigarettes in August of 2025, wanting to give the level a go after hearing good things about it. Now, this level flows phenomenally. The gameplay is quite fun, very fast-paced and intense, and I do truly think this is a good level, but I can't ignore what I went through with it. Probably one of, if not my single most humiliating experience in the entire game, which brought the level down from incredible to, I never want to play this piece of shit ever again. So after fluking from the 30s to 87, and then proceeding to die across the 70s and 80s over 10 times, either due to ship choke points and some of the single dumbest things I've ever done in my life, I dropped the level completely in hopes to finish it off another day, and that day came. After being battered one final time by the ending, including deaths to 87 again, 85, 84, 82, and a few more deaths scattered around the 70s, I actually did finish it off. This level's truly great, but not only does it still have a ton of issues, I also had to suffer through a horrible experience to finish it. A level that isn't even in my top 50 hardest. Well, here's the completion now anyway. Now that's technically my whole list of levels, but I have one more thing I want to show. This is Decade, a level of mine released in between Nocticide and Never Afraid as a generally non-serious project, meant to show my creating progression across the 9 odd years I've been using the editor in this game. This isn't even originally a level I was going to make public, but after some friends convinced me to, I went with it. If you want to play it for yourself, the ID is here. Anyway, that's all. Here's the showcase.